Hello chess fans, this is the YouTube channel Chess Analysis 64. We will be giving 10 examples in this video for pawns attacking a minor or major piece, and in doing so, these pawns allow threats somewhere else on the board. As a result, the attacking player will gain a material advantage. These examples are aimed for intermediate chess players. Similar positions may arise in your own games. When solving chess puzzles, try to recognize similar patterns. Okay, we begin with the first example. White to move. He moves the f-pawn and attacks the black bishop. Now, if black were to move the bishop, then the white knight will capture the black knight, and the pawn will capture the knight. Then the white bishop will capture the rook, and white will be ahead 5 points. So we go back to the first position. Black decides to lose less points by capturing the white knight. The white bishop captures the knight, and now the black knight makes a blockade between the white bishop and the rook. And now white captures the bishop, and now black protects the black knight. And now white captures the pawn, black captures the pawn, and white is ahead 3 points. We go to example number 2, white to move. He moves the f-pawn and attacks the black rook. Now if black were to move the black rook away from the attack, then the threat is white will capture with the bishop the a-pawn, check. Now the black king captures the white bishop, and the white rook captures the queen, and white is ahead 7 points. So instead, black decides to save the queen, and then white captures with the pawn the black rook, the pawn captures the pawn, and white is ahead 4 points. Okay, we go to example number 3, white to move. He moves the c-pawn and attacks the black bishop. The black bishop moves away from the attack. Now the white pawn's move made the c5 square available for the white knight. He moves and forks the queen and the rook, a very beautiful fork. The black queen moves away from the attack. The white knight captures the rook. The queen captures the knight, and white is ahead 2 points. Okay, we go to example number 4, white to move. He advances the d-pawn and attacks the black knight. Now if black were to move the black knight away from the attack, then the white rook will fork the black queen and the black bishop. Black now moves his queen, and now the white rook captures the black bishop, and white is ahead 3 points. So instead, black decides to move the queen away from the fork. And now white captures the knight, and black captures the pawn, and white is ahead only 2 points. Okay, we go to example number 5, white to move. He advances the c-pawn. Now this move attacks the black bishop, and in the same time opens this diagonal and helps trap the other black bishop with the aid of the a-pawn. It's black to move. He decides to move the bishop away from the threat. White now advances the a-pawn, threatening the other black bishop. And now the bishop is trapped. He decides to capture the pawn. The white bishop captures the black bishop, and white is ahead 2 points. Okay, we go to example number 6, white to move. He advances the b-pawn and attacks the black knight. Now if black were to move the black knight away from the attack, then the white bishop will fork the black queen and the black rook. Now the black queen moves away from the attack and attacks the b-pawn. The white bishop captures the black rook, and the black knight captures the b-pawn. And white is ahead 4 points. So instead, black decides to protect the knight with the queen. And now the pawn captures the knight, the queen captures the pawn, and white is ahead 2 points. Okay, we go to example number 7. White to move. He advances the b-pawn. Now this move has 2 functions. First, it attacks the black rook on a8. Second, it allows white's b1 rook to move to b6. Okay, black to move. Moves away from the attack and prevents the pawn promotion. White to move. Moves the rook, checking the king. The king has to move away from the attack. And the white rook captures the black rook. Black's rook captures the pawn. White's rook captures the pawn. And white is ahead 5 points. Okay, we go to example number 8. White to move. He advances the d-pawn. Now this move has 2 functions. First, it allows white's queen to move to d4, forking the black bishop and the black knight. Second, it opens the diagonal for the white bishop and allows it to capture the g7 pawn, and then win the black rook. Okay, it's black to move. He moves the knight, giving space for the rook. Now it's white to move. He moves the white queen to d4 and forks the black bishop and the black knight. The black bishop captures the pawn. The white queen captures the black knight. And then black will protect the g7 pawn and white will be ahead 2 points. We move to example number 9. White to move. He advances the f-pawn and attacks the black rook. Now, if the black rook were to move away from the attack, then the white bishop will check the king will have to move, and the white bishop will capture the queen, and white will be ahead 9 points. So instead, black decides to move the king. And then the white bishop pins the rook, the pawn protects the rook, white's queen attacks the a7 pawn, black's queen protects the a7 pawn, pawn captures rook, pawn captures pawn, the white bishop captures the pawn, and white is ahead 5 points. We reach the last example, white to move. He advances the d-pawn. Now this move has 2 functions. First, it attacks the black rook, and second, it threatens a back rank mate on the a8 square. And black can't stop both threats at the same time. So he decides to create an escape square for the king. And now, the white pawn captures the rook, and the queen captures the pawn, and white is ahead 4 points. In your games, try to be aware of pawn moves that have more than one function. Pawn moves that give the opportunity to moves that allow a material advantage. I would like to remind you that this video is directed to intermediate chess players. Hopefully, I will be uploading more videos. Feel free to give any comments, and don't forget to share, subscribe, and like. Thanks for listening, and good luck with your next chess game.